Hey there, my name is Alex. I am the Silver Mont, and I am perplexed. There was a show that just finished airing on Disney, and perhaps other services in other countries, called Alien Earth. You know, of the Alien franchise that's been around for almost 50 years. I watched this show with a friend, and when the last episode aired, I remember saying to my friend at the end of it, well, I suppose there's another episode then. And I sighed, because I had hoped that was the last one. As it turns out, that was the final episode, and a perfectly fitting ending for this completely insane show. For some quick background context, Alien Earth is currently rated as such 93% fresh on Rotten Tomato, with a 66% popcorn score, 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 85 on Metacritic from critics, and 5.2 from users. Which, as usual, shows that Metacritic user scores are generally the more reliable way to judge something. Because I'm sorry, what? 85 out of 100? 93% fresh? Are you out of your mind? Did you even watch the show? And for my experience with the Alien franchise was not really all that deep. The first one I saw was actually Resurrection. It was the first DVD I ever had back in 1996, 97, I want to say. I think I've seen 1 and 2 all the way through on TV many years ago, and I know vaguely what happens in 3. All those that came out when I was an adult, Prometheus, Covenant, Romulus, I have seen. Of those, Romulus was the only one I thought was halfway decent. Prometheus is a pile of dookie, as they say. Covenant is so bland, I don't remember anything about it other than there was a bit where 2 androids were like slapping each other. But all this is to say, I'm not coming at this from a place of, oh, I'm an Alien expert, I know everything. I only know a little bit about Alien. The best way to describe this show really is as follows. A show about smart people written by stupid people. The dumb person's idea of what a smart person is like. Oh, smart people just spend all day going, I'm doing these calculations in my giant brain, and you peasants bore me with your low IQ antics. You do not stimulate me. That's actually one of the motivations of a main character in this show. He wants someone as smart as he is so that he can have a conversation that isn't boring. That's not what smart people do. Smart people are the same as dumb people in almost every respect, other than their approach to solving problems and things like that. It's not like they don't have the same urges and drives and needs as other people. You see, almost every element of Alien Earth's plot happens because people are stupid. You know how people always talk about, like Jason movies or Scream movies? They're like, oh my god, why are you going out in your underpants at night when you heard some weird screechings? Oh, now you're being bifurcated by a hockey stick. Or you're having your head shoved into a den of rabid badgers. It kind of works in those movies to some extent because all the characters are stupid teenagers. They're like jocks or whatever, musclehead, meathead types. Alien Earth is a show where almost the entire cast should have IQs of 30 billion, and yet routinely act as if they have no sense of self-preservation, or indeed, common sense. The show actually started off alright, which is why I watched it. The first episode was meh, and it kept my interest enough to keep watching it, which is unfortunate because I hate when a show starts off okay, and then nosedives, because at that point I feel obligated to watch the whole thing, as I know, it's only going to be like 8 episodes. How bad could it be? But yeah, it starts off, ship in space, it's on its way back to Earth with alien specimens, which I typoed in my script as specimens. Specimens. Yeah, they got some aliens to study. Oh no, they broke out. Everyone dies. The ship crash lands on Earth. I was surprised. I said to my friend, oh, they're not actually going to show the breakout and the carnage? But after about 2 seconds, I went, that's actually a smart idea. We've seen that before in like every other Alien movie. We don't need to see it because we know what happens. We know these characters are all going to be dead, so why spend time on them? Yeah, just get on with the plot as all these characters are irrelevant. Oh boy. We'll get back to that in a moment. On Earth, after the ship crashes, we have our opening 2 episodes or so in some future city that's ruled by the guy from Dune's kinda ugly brother. He's the CEO or whatever, one of the big five mega corpos who rule over the Earth in this setting. They do a pretty decent job of establishing the world and the atmosphere in this first episode, which is quite interesting, which then makes it incredibly disappointing that we spend the rest of the entire show in a generic facility on a remote island and we don't get to see any of that interesting stuff. Whoopsie. Alien Romulus is worth bringing up here too. The start of that movie is perhaps the most interesting part, seeing that kind of, dystopian future where everyone's ruled by giant corporations. Anyway, we are introduced to our main core of characters, Lisan al-Ghalib and his robot companion Roy Batty. They run a company that puts children brains into robots, and those are the other main characters. Are they really the souls? Are they just memories downloaded onto a USB stick that's inside a person? Who knows? The show really doesn't dwell on that for long because it has no satisfying answers to give. It mentions it now and then, but it never gives you any satisfying conclusion to it. It's a lot like in the Batman vs Superman movie. A big part of that movie early on is, how do we hold Superman accountable for this and that? Like, what is the solution to the Superman problem? They literally blow up that plot line and it never gets mentioned after that. Because again, the writers for that movie thought, that's an interesting dilemma, but we don't have any satisfying answers, so let's just drop it. Same thing here. That's a trend of bad Hollywood writing, is bring up an interesting problem, dilemma, mystery, quandary, and then don't solve it, or solve it in the stupidest way possible, like that show Lost. But yeah, we have an ethnically diverse group of terminally ill children who get shoved into super powerful adult robot bodies with no safety features at all. See, if I had an IQ of 500 or whatever, and I was putting children into superhuman bodies, you know what I would do? I would probably put in some failsafes so that they can't rip my head off or go on a rampage. Because you know what children are like? Children don't really have impulse control. A lot of adults don't have it either, for that matter. But yeah, giving children the ability to be superhuman is kind of stupid. But there's a whole lot of Peter Pan references that are thrown in for no reason that I can see. It's like when a movie starts with a quote from a philosopher. It's like, aren't we smart? We know about Peter Pan, and we put in some vague analogies to it? I don't even know, man. It's baffling. The main woman-child robot is obsessed with Ice Age, but you don't need to worry about that, even though they make a big deal of it early on. It kind of gets dropped, like 3 episodes in. They're like, that's kind of cringe, we drop it there. So she stalks her brother, who thinks she's dead, and he's a healer, because he sucks at DPS and tanking. He works for, like, the Mega Corpo Mercs or whatever. The big ship crashes into the middle of the city, and Willy Plonker sends his Superman children in, because why wouldn't you send in your new $70 billion robo-kids there? The brother, who I'm going to call Frodo, because I forgot his actual name, shows up there, and the main girl, Wendy, but we'll call her Mary Sue for reasons that will soon become apparent. They meet up, and they kind of immediately go, oh yeah, I'm your sister, by the way. Like, she doesn't really hide it, which was, again, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of nice. I thought this was going to be some stupid drama point that they'll drag on, but they don't. So that was nice. But yeah, they meet up at the crash site, whilst the alien slaughters everyone. Everyone, that is, who isn't remotely important to the plot. See, this alien can blender groups of 12 people in less than 5 seconds. But whenever it notices a main character, it kind of just hugs them, or, like, gives them a little push. Liquid Ocelot, who works for a rival company, says something about, the alien detects fear, so if you aren't afraid, it just won't kill you. It will just kind of look at you for 20 seconds. And he wants to capture the alien and take it back to Weyland-Yutani. And he almost does it, but he's stupid, so he doesn't. They kill the alien, and when I say they, the Mary Sue character just, solos it easily. Her first time ever fighting, by the way. They spend the rest of the series after that, sitting in the jungle base, whining at each other. That's the show. The remaining 5 episodes are just poorly written squabbles. The largest driving force is that Bionic Commando is able to speak to one of the robo-kids through convenient technology that somehow doesn't get picked up on a scanner. You know, when they're entering this hyper-secure island base, they don't bother to really scan them. Or they do and they just don't care because they're like, yeah, this is part of our convoluted plan. Blech. Anyway, he tells this kid, give me the alien back or I'm going to fist your family to death with my special hand. And the kid's like, oh, this sucks. I guess I'll do what you want. Frodo wants to save Mary Sue, but Mary Sue is gradually realizing that she has unlimited power. Not only is she able to 1v1 the alien with her bare hands, okay, she had like a blade that she pulled off a photocopier or something, but aside from that, she's actually able to control aliens by making stupid noises whilst the camera gives disgusting extreme close-ups of her mouth, which is like 80% of the shots in this wretched show. I think perhaps someone has like a fetish for mouths, because the amount it happens it's disgusting. But as if being able to control aliens for no reason isn't good enough, she can also control anything on the network, which basically is a ham-fisted way of saying anything that is like electronic or digital, she can control. As long as she can see it, she can control it, even if it's through a screen. Why? Because did she earn these powers? Did she discover them? Did she train them? No, she just has them. Like Mulan in the rubbish new live-action movie. You know, in the 90s Disney Mulan cartoon, you know, she had to work and, you know, improve herself physically and mentally. Yeah, in the new Mulan, she just has, like, Super Saiyan powers that are unexplained. Just like Rey in the new Star Wars movie. In the first movie, we see in real time all of her, you know, Force discovery, and she uses one of the most complex Force powers, the Mind Trick, which we've seen like 2 other characters use, and they were both Jedi Masters. And she does that in like 10 minutes, because why not? Because, you know, if you want to write a strong character, especially a strong female character, they don't have to suffer or earn anything or try. They just have it because they're just that good. Crazy that this is happening in Alien, a franchise pretty well known for having some of the better female protagonists. Ripley. Of course, you might argue that eventually Ripley became like, or, you know, she was like a Ripley Mary Sue or something in Resurrection, where she got super duper powers. But also, that's the 4th movie in, and she died and got resurrected, and they explained how she has all of that power, all of that abilities. It made sense. Okay, that was really weird. Something just fell over in my kitchen, even though there's nobody in there. I mean, maybe there's an alien in there. Maybe the character, Wendy, is so powerful that if you criticize her, she will reach through reality and make a wooden thing fall over in your kitchen. That was weird. Anyway, where was I? But yeah, they never explain how she's able to control the alien. You might be thinking, well, they're going to explain that in season 2, to which I say, wrong. They might explain it, but this is definitely a Lost situation. This is a Star Wars sequel situation. I guarantee it. The writers came up with these ideas. One writer said, what if she could communicate with the alien? What if she controlled them and had them as like a pet, like an attack force? It'll be like that bit in the Jurassic Park where he like controls the raptors. Not that he controls them with his mind, and they also establish how he's able to communicate with them because he like raised them, but whatever. But then another writer went, okay, so why can she do this? And they went, it doesn't matter. We'll explain that in a later season, because that gives us like a year or more to think about it. We can open up ChatGPT and go, hey ChatGPT, I made a show about aliens where the main character can control aliens, but I don't know how she can do that. Can you explain it to me? And ChatGPT will go, sure, here are 5 ways that a character could conceivably control an alien. 1, she's an alien queen. Ugh. They do this a lot in Hollywood, and it's always a sign of shoddy, mystery box style writing. Anyway, episode 5. This is where the show really goes downhill. Remember that throwaway cast of characters on the ship that we didn't see die because we didn't need to? Well, episode 5 is a flashback that goes back in time and is an hour long, perhaps the longest episode in the whole show, dedicated to exactly that. Get to know all these wonderful characters who will all be dead by the end of the episode other than one. This is where we start to see how everyone needs to be stupid for the plot to move in this show. They have a hyper-advanced ship designed to capture and contain alien specimens in jars. What happens if one of those jars is not properly secured in place? Well, there's a little red light on a console. No alarm, no ship-wide klaxons, no fail-safes, no filling the room with, sound or lights or, liquid nitrogen flooding in. Just a little red light on a console. And also, these jars can be cracked and broken by the specimens inside. However, they don't crack when they put the specimens in or at any time during however long it took them to go back to Earth. They don't crack when the ship crashes into a city, but they do crack when someone is walking past and one of the creatures inside goes blah, 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 and smashes its head against it, because just scary, spooky sounds make me jump. So we have a lady then kind of just eating lunch amidst a bunch of super dangerous alien life forms, and she's like, whatever, I don't care about any of this, it's not dangerous. Maybe these people are all stupid though, because they signed up for a mission that would send them away from Earth for like 60 years. So maybe they are stupid, in which case you can throw away all my criticisms of this particular episode, or at least the characters, because they're dumb. Then back on Earth in the present day, we have Moi de Dweeb's facility that should be home to extremely smart people. Because, he can literally pick the top 1% of humanity. Even for his security guards, he could go, I don't need just muscleheads, I'm going to get like 200 IQ bodybuilder people. Because they exist, and yet he and his staff show a complete lack of concern over just about everything. Almost every plot point happens from here on because people are stupid. And this all culminates with Wendy getting fed up and setting her new alien pet on people whilst slurping at the camera. I would try and replicate that, but it would probably make you throw up as it made me try to throw up. Just imagine the most disgusting mouth sounds you can whilst her mouth is this close to the camera. She's literally touching it. At the end of the final episode, Weyland Yutani are about to show up, and then it just kind of ends with her taking control over the facility, because the writers had no idea where to take it from there. Well, one of the characters is like, what do we do now? Dramatic zoom in on her, the rock music starts playing, and she's like, now we rule. Or something like that. It's like, rule what? You have an army of people coming in. What is going to happen here? Are they going to... Oh, the writers don't know. Nobody knows, because it's stupid. They just wanted a dramatic cliffhanger, which will probably be resolved in 2 seconds. Realistically, Yutani would just carpet bomb or nuke the island, or drop a special bomb on it that kills all humans there, and then they go in and shoot the androids, grab the aliens. Instead they send in tiny little troop carriers. They send in one at first, because they're like, let's try and be stealthy. But not really stealthy. And then when that doesn't work, they're like, right, send in everyone else. Remember, this is a planet where Yutani and co have fleets of starships and presumably satellites. Why did Yutani send in 10 troops and then the fleet? Why didn't she just bring in one of her giant cruisers into low orbit above the island and go, hey, give me the alien or I will literally atomize this island? That really sums up the whole series. To quote Secretary Heller from 24, what? Why? How? So yeah, the show had an interesting premise. It started off as maybe a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10, and then it all went down to nonsense extremely quickly. Takes itself way too seriously for a show that unironically had Ice Age characters in. Tons of mystery box writing for just about everything. The only character worth rooting for is the freaky eyeball monster, because it clearly is fed up with all these idiots around it and it just wants to get away from them. Bad show, avoid. Alien Romulus wasn't bad though, watch that instead. See ya!